Good morning. I'm going to start the public hearing now. This is a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Program in Greenfield. And we are holding two of these today, one at noon and one at 6 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public comment on our Community Development Block Grant activities, including social service and infrastructure priorities for the city's 2021 mini entitlement program application, including West Street reconstruction. Two, the ongoing grant implementation of activities funded through the 17, 18, 19, and 20 grant awards. And also I'll be discussing the CV award, which is for the coronavirus. I forgot to put that in the public ad. And then to receive public comment on revising program activities funded with CDBG 18 to support services to homeless individuals designed to respond to needs caused by the COVID pandemic. So those are the options, or that's what we're going to discuss today. So the first thing is to discuss the social service and infrastructure priorities. And that's what's up on your screen right now. If you're following along at home and would like to download the PDF yourself, it is on our Community and Economic Development website, and it should be the first what's that called? The first file under our file downloads should be the draft for the 2021 priorities. So we'll start through there and then discuss the. So this is just a quick review of what's currently on our priority projects list. Some of these have been on here for a while. Some of them don't have a year included because they were included before we went back to, I started going backwards, and so there's a pre-2017, so they've been on here for a while. And you can see that our priorities have traditionally been broadband infrastructure, the First National Bank redevelopment, 180 Laurel Street, downtown vacant and underutilized buildings, municipal solar, the FISGAV parking area, the anaerobic digester, the fire station, there we go, the library. A lot of these we've had some movement on, so that's kind of exciting. Infrastructure upgrades, specifically West Street, the ADA transition plan, Sanderson Street reconstruction, Wisdom Way reconstruction, and then we have some priorities that have been labeled as kind of, those slightly lower, right? Those are all number ones. And then we have the housing rehab and weatherization and energy efficiency program. We have Court Square redevelopment. We have the skate park, and then we have redeveloping condemned buildings, and then social services, including food security, wellness, health, education, and social services. And then if you feel like you need a little list of accomplishments at the end, you can see all of the things that we have completed recently. So that provides a little bit of historical history, and we are moving on a lot of these things. I think as you can see from the status on quite a few of these number one priorities, we have moved quite some way on those as well. So this provides kind of a framework for us to discuss with DHCD our needs and also why we've chosen to fund certain pieces. So this is part of that. For the 21 grant, we are looking at possibly infrastructure-wise funding one of two projects. The first, originally in our 20 grant, we have the phase 1 of West Street. So that's doing water, sewer, and pavement over in the West Street area and doing drainage work there, which is vital for the influence we've been having. And so that work is going to be in our should be in our 2020 grant, which we'll be receiving shortly. And so we were originally planning to do phase 2 of that work in this 2021 grant. But there have been some other priorities, and one of the priorities not on this list yet is the reworking of Main Street and the ways in which that project has really been fast-tracked. So that is another possibility for the infrastructure piece on this grant. And then the social services, last year's social service priorities were health and wellness, food security, and education. In previous years, our priorities have included outreach and service to elders, addressing the opioid crisis or addiction, priorities identified in the Community Health Improvement Plan, child advocacy, and housing assistance, youth development, economic self-sufficiency, nutrition, or health services and support services for those experiencing homelessness, also possibilities as social service priorities. And we are here to receive feedback on those priorities now. So if any members of the public would like to offer their thoughts on those priorities, now is the time.
Lindsay, this is Nancy.
Okay.
I have a question about, I'm not sure I completely understand this, but I have a question about housing. The first list you went through, it was priority number 4, and I was surprised to see it so low. And then you switched over to the social services, and you mentioned housing again. So anyway, I guess I'm having a little hard time following, but I was curious about the prioritization because I feel like that should be a number 1.
Sure. So again, the prioritization this has kind of been a historic prioritization. So housing, rehab, weatherization, and energy efficiency. This is housing code corrections. So this would be our program where we work with people who are income qualified. We go into the home, we find the code issues, and we correct them. So we traditionally do 3 to 4 units a year and help fix those. And we partner with a lot of other programs to try to provide additional funding so that we can stretch every dollar and provide the best, bang for the buck. And so the home household stabilization and homelessness that I was talking about in social services, that's really more the question of, do you want to provide some sort of supplement to people for like a rent supplement or a utility supplement. So this is kind of, so one is supporting like literal reconstruction and repair of homes, physical homes, and one is kind of a social service activity, which is more providing some financial support to people to either maintain their housing or to become housed. So that's the 2 different pieces. The city has traditionally, I don't want to say always, the city has traditionally spent about $80,000 to $90,000 on social services annually as part of this grant. So we get about $825,000, and we're only allowed to spend up to 15%, I believe. Don't quote me. I will find out, on social services. So we can't spend everything on social services. But the housing rehab program is not considered part of that social services as a separate activity. So we can spend additional money there. So that's why it's not under the social service guise. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Thank you. That was really helpful. And I still have a question of why. I know that you have been spending money on housing, which I've been thrilled with for years. And so I guess I'm just surprised to see it as listed as priority number 4 when I know that you make a commitment to spend money on housing rehab. I guess I'm talking about the housing rehab piece, not the social services piece, but although the social services piece, you could, as much money as you had would certainly be helpful on the housing on that side as well. As you know, the homelessness situation is dire. So I'm just curious. It gets funded, but the priority looks like it's not so high.
I will take that comment, and we'll maybe incorporate. We'll see what we can do is incorporating that into the final. Because I think that's
Thank you. That's great.
That's a good comment. All right. Any other thoughts or comments on our social service and housing or infrastructure? Sorry, infrastructure priorities, which is all right. Hearing none. Well, I can give an update on the ongoing grant implementation of activities. But Nancy, you've heard this at this SCIC meeting, so we could skip to number 3, and then I could do number 2 if you don't want to listen to it again, or if you're okay with listening to it again, I'm happy to do it now.
If there are others on the call that haven't heard that, then carry on. Otherwise, you can skip.
At this point, I believe it is me and Robin and you. So I think that everyone on this call has heard it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So just recognizing your time.
I hope you get more people on your 6 p.m. meeting.
Excellent. Yeah, me too. And then it's always interesting to try, we tried to do multiple times to see what worked. And so then the third part of the public hearing is to receive public comment on revising program activities funded with CDBG 18 to support services to homeless individuals designed to respond to needs caused by the COVID pandemic. So this is kind of a broader question of, does the public support using some 18 money to support services to homeless individuals? And one of the things that is a response to the COVID pandemic would be the question of kind of a daytime shelter space, as currently that is lacking in the community due to COVID. So if anyone would like to speak to that, the public is invited to speak to that.
Well, I sort of spoke to it already, but I'll speak to it again about as you know, the dire situation of the homeless. And I've been, because Greenfield is working towards holding a forum on housing in March, this coming March. I've been learning a lot about housing issues and poking around to find out what other towns are doing. And I really, I'm sure you're familiar with the housing first, what that, that phrase and that movement. And I couldn't agree more that to really resolve or solve or really help people who are homeless, they really need to have housing before they can put other aspects of their life back together. And that without that home base, it's extraordinarily difficult for any human being to address all of the challenges in their life, whatever those challenges happen to be. And so so I don't know what specific things you're able or thinking about investing the money in, but I would say whatever you can do, please do that. Because, yeah, it's really tough.
Excellent. Okay, great. All right, any other public comment? All right,
So I guess I'd just like to hear a little bit more about what kinds of things you folks are able to do within the constraints of, the money that's available to you, and what kinds of things you're thinking about.
For the homelessness. So this is really a broad first step to allow us to then think about ways to use this funding. My understanding, it's not a lot of funding. I think it's about $10,000 maximum is what we have in this grant right now. And it would be to fill in some gaps for possibly a warming shelter or a day shelter as we get through the winter, because my understanding is that there is some COVID relief money that is available until the end of December, and we would like to be able to have additional funding available should we need it. And so this would really allow, this is one of the steps in the regulatory process in order to allow us to use the funding towards that goal. It would not immediate, we're not immediately changing the money. We're not immediately making it available. This is about having a conversation with the public to see if this is something that the public thinks is a good use of taxpayer funding.
That's great. Thank you. That's really helpful. And now I'm clear also about, the amount of money that you're talking about is obviously minuscule, but certainly even the shelters and stuff, as I understand it, they're closed during the day. So that's having a place. I just can't imagine having to live outdoors that many hours every day in the middle of the winter. I mean,
and
your body
traditionally
adjusts to a certain extent, but it's really tough.
Yeah, pre-COVID, we would have public spaces open like the library, the bus station, places that are, open to the public. People had places to go, even coffee shops, etc., to sit and get warm. But with dining being closed and all sorts of public buildings being closed, there's not really the same access to spaces. And so that is part of why this has been kind of more of a priority due to COVID. I keep staring at my phone, Nancy, sorry. Really, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at my phone.
That's okay. I don't have my picture up anyway, so
all right.
That's because I'm eating lunch. So so thank you. And so at this point, it sounds like you're just collecting thoughts from the general public about whether it's appropriate to spend the money in this way. And, I don't know what things you're considering as possible solutions. I don't know if you've gotten to that point.
I think that there have been some solutions discussed. I don't think we're at a point where we know how we're going to resolve it or who's going to. So there are different social service agencies are responsible for different portions of kind of this sort of thing, and then there's kind of some gaps. And I think what the city is hoping is that through this conversation we can figure, if we get some of this funding available, we can plug some of the gaps, which might help bring everything together.
Thank you for doing that work.
So, well, it's 95% MJ. I'll give her really 95%.
I bet she's out there beating the pavement, trying to figure it out.
She is.
She's great.
So, all right. And then if that's everything on that, then I'll jump to number 2 and I'll give an ongoing grant implementation update, which you're welcome to listen to, Nancy, or I can just give it to the internet.
I think that's the part I've already heard, right?
Yep, it's the same as the SGIC. The only update that you might be interested in, which is the CDBG CV, which is, yes, Robin reminds me, it's also for the minutes. Yes, that's why I'm doing this. And the CDBG CV, which is that micro enterprise grant money that we've been talking about. So this is for businesses with 5 or fewer employees who have income eligible owners. And we received $600,000 for grants to businesses. And we've had 37 applications. We're hoping to assist 60 businesses. So we've still got a ways to go, so encourage businesses to apply. And so far we've approved 16 and given funds to 16 businesses. And we've expended, representing $117,292.25. So that has been our, that's where we're at right now with that. So that's as of yesterday.
That's great. So as I understand, there's a cap on the grant of 10,000. Is that right for each business?
Yes, yes. So these businesses have a cap of 10,000. We received 600,000. Some businesses have not asked for the full 10,000, so hence why I have an odd number. That means that we'll probably be able to help more than 60 businesses, which will be great. And so,
And these are grants and not loans. Is that accurate?
these are forgivable loans. So in order to get the forgiveness, right, you say, I'm a business, I want to spend this on rent and utilities. We say, here's your loan. When you give us the receipts, we will forgive it. So the forgiveness is pretty easy on these loans. Basically, you have to spend it exactly how you told us you were going to spend it and provide us with that documentation. So it's the way that we make sure we get the paperwork to show that we spent it in the way that we said we were going to spend it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think I'll sign off, and
Okay.
thank you so much. It's really
You're
been
welcome.
great. Yeah. Okay.
Have a good day.
You too, and I hope you have a lot more people this evening.
You know what? We'll take the public's feedback however the public wants to give it to us. Also, you can email me if that's better. So, but we appreciate you taking the time, Nancy.
Great. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Have a good day.
And now for the minutes. The City of Greenfield's FY17 grant, so this is the grant we received in 2017, is almost at the end of its, we're working on closing it out this year. So we have completed all of the activities in our grant application. We did 6 units for housing rehab. We helped improve accessibility over at the Garden Cinema. We did a whole lot of streets and sidewalks, including Leiden Woods Lane, School and Pleasant Street, Wells Street, Bank Row, Deerfield Street, and Main Street. A lot of streets and sidewalks. We worked with, in parks and playgrounds, we did some architectural barrier removal over at Lent Field and the parking garage pocket park with the dinosaurs and bees, the favorite. And we completed 3 social service activities, including the Center for Self-Reliance Food Pantry, a summer youth employment program, and community nutrition and wellness for elders. In our FY18, that is currently an ongoing grant, open grant with some open activities, but we have completed our residential rehab. Our goal was 3 units. We've completed 4. We're in the middle of a code compliance activity where we are working with landlords to fix some code compliant issues, and we've just hired a temporary staff person to help do that. And last night we had a landlord education workshop under this. And then in commercial improvements, we did not do the First National Bank facade stabilization due to a whole lot of other issues, but we did repurpose that money into micro enterprise assistance. And this activity was the $5,000 loan for businesses, forgivable $5,000 loan for businesses. And that has been, I think we've spent $30,000 out of that, out of $40,000 available. In this year, we also did some GSET build out and infill, and we did the 188 Main Street demolition. And then our social services that year were the Center for Self-Reliance Food Pantry and the Council on Aging Wellness and Nutrition Program. Then for our 2019 grant, we did housing rehab. We have a goal of 3 units. We currently have 1 emergency roof that has been done and 1 house with lead remediation that is ongoing, and we are going to pair the additional funds with our gateway housing and try to do some multifamily rehabilitation there. The First National Bank funding that was originally allocated for that has been reallocated, again, to microenterprise assistance. And the city allocated $50,000 for this, and we have spent the $50,000 to distribute awards through that. So we have spent 10 businesses that we've helped through that. We've done some infrastructure improvements through this, including Hope Street sidewalks, Olive Street to Russell Street. We've done design and engineering of West Street water and sewer, and this is to help the 20 grant, which we'll talk about in a minute. And we did GSET, and they are in the process of running or lighting up the Leiden Woods area, and so that the people who live in that Leiden Woods complex will have access to affordable internet service. And then the social services, again, we did Center for Self-Reliance Food Pantry, Life Path Congregate Meals, although that's been changed to Grab and Go, and then the Council on Aging's Healthy Aging was canceled due to coronavirus. And then, we already discussed the CV. Our update on 2020 is that we have yet to receive that funding from the state. They are hoping to, we're hearing that they're hoping to release those awards in January. So we should get that funding then. This is quite a delay from how it normally, usually we get those in the fall. So that is the update there. Thank you all for attending the public hearing. Seeing no feedback any further, I will close the hearing at 12:31. Thank you.